We have different types of employees. All 3 people enter the company in the morning. All 3 people leave at the end of the day, but their main work is different. Alex, who is a junior programmer, creates 3 separate classes, in which login and logout methods are registered in all 3. But the problem with this code was that the codes are repetitive, difficult to maintain, and there is no common basis. His colleague told him why he does not use Abstract. Then he created a class called Employee, which contains login and logout, but a method is also defined in an abstract form called doWork. Now all these 3 classes inherit from this class and have to implement the doWork method. Some things are common to all employees, but some things must be defined by themselves. Then his colleague said, firstly, all of them are employees, secondly, some of their behaviors are common, and thirdly, some behaviors should be determined by the child. Abstract class gives classes a common identity and keeps common code and forces children to complete specific parts.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are gonna talk about 2 of the most important concepts in object-oriented programming in C#, abstract classes and interface. Before we jump into syntax and code example, let's start with a simple question. Suppose you have 3 types of employee in a company: manager, developer, a tester. All of them are employee, all of them can log in, all of them can log out, but the actual work they perform are completely different. But there's a question. Is it logic or is it make sense that you rewrite all of these classes and create a login and logout and a do work method, because the login and logout are the same for all of these 3 classes, but the do work is different. If you take a look at the manager class, it has login, logout, but the do work is different. And tester. But this is the situation, that's the time the abstract classes is useful and comes in. Let's start and know what is an abstract class. Abstract class. An abstract class is a class that is a base class that can contain both implemented functionality and functionality that can be implemented by derived class. Here I have 3 classes: developer, manager, and tester. All of them have login, logout, and a method is doWork because all of them have the same login and logout method. The login and logout are same for all of them. Here say username enter the company, username exit the company, and for manager and developer are the same. But the doWork is completely different. Here I want to solve this problem with the abstract class. Here I want to create first of all an abstract class. I create a class and name it employee. Here all of them are employee. Here say add. But how can I create an abstract class? For create an abstract class, there is a special keyword for modifier is abstract. I say abstract. In abstract class, I told you can use both functional implemented functionality and functionality that can be implemented by derived class. Okay. Also in abstract class, you can also have field and constructor. Here I have one constructor. I come here. I want to copy login and logout because we want to use it only once in employee. Here I paste it and remove login and logout from all of the classes. And here I have a do work. I want to cut it and remove it from do work here. And manager, I want to remove it and go to developer. Okay, I don't have, and come here. Here I want to define the do work as abstract because we want to ask the derived class or the child class, we force them to implement it in a way they want or they like. Here I say public abstract. Here you have to define your method as abstract and say void and do work. And it's so important. The abstract class doesn't have a body. You cannot have a default activity or behavior. If now I want to go to the child class, just pay attention. There are some forbidden, there are some limitation for abstract class that when I want to create and use the abstract class, I will tell you. Okay, now I go to the developer. How can I use abstract class? You have to inherit it. Here I say employee. Here, if you pay attention, there is a little underline. It says developer doesn't implement inherited abstract member. I told you, the abstract class, the parent that is defined as abstract class, force the child class. You have to force, you have to implement this method that I have defined as an abstract class, because you are sharing the same identity and you have to do it in the way you like. Okay, I come here and say, okay, no problem, implement the abstract class. Here, I come and say, hey, I want to use it in a way I like. Here I am a developer. I say I am developing the code. Did you see what happened? Here it is overridden. And come here to the manager and say, hey, I want to use employee, and you have to implement the abstract, and just come here and for testing to do employee and just implement the abstract class and just say I am testing the software, and do for manager and say I am managing team. Okay, did you pay attention? The child class should implement the method is defined as abstract class in the parent class. Okay, but there is some limitation for abstract class. If you come here and say, I want to remove all of them, and say, hey, employee, because I define it as an abstract class, I want to create an instance of this class. You say you cannot create an instance of abstract type of or in interface. There is a very, very important point. You cannot create an instance of abstract class and interface. That's so important. But how we can access the login and logout? Here you can access all of them with the child class. Here I say developer. And now if I come here, I say employee.login, and say employee.doer. But there is some other question. Here, you see there is no argument that given to the correspondent. Here I have to say, who am I? I say Hossein. I am Hossein. And here say employee.logout. And here also say I am Hossein. Now, if I run the program, you will see the output, but it's so important. It says Hossein enter the company, Hossein exit the company, and I am developing the code. Did you see the child class, for example, the developer performed the abstract class in one way, the tester implemented differently, and manager performed it in other way. It's so important. It's one of the powerful power of the abstract classes. But I told you there are some limitation. You cannot create an instance of abstract class. They are another item. That is so important. That's one of the reasons that interface are come in and are useful. That's one reason. Here, suppose I have another class in my project. Here, I want to define another project as abstract class. Here, I say, for example, company. And say, let me define it as a boss because I want to have the share identity. Here, I say public abstract class boss, and here I want to just define a public abstract void, for example, call boss. Now, if I come here, there's a tester, and I want to also ask the boss. It say I got a red underline. It say class tester can have multiple base class, employee and boss. Don't forget, in C# we cannot inheritance more than one class. But how we can manage? Sometimes we need to inherit from more than one class. In situation like this, the C# manage it by interface. That's the time the interface comes in. If I want to summarize the abstract class, I will say abstract class are multiple objects that share the same identity, and they answer this question. Is A, what is it? What is a developer? It is a employee. What is a tester? A tester is a employee. What is a manager? A manager is a employee. If they answer this question and they share the same identity in situation like this, you should use abstract class. Now it's time to talk about interface, multiple inheritance, and what is interface. what's the difference between interface and abstract class. Let's get started.
The city's control system wants to manage everything that flies. Alex writes the code for this program like this. And so it continues. Each time a new device is added, the bets are getting bigger and bigger. Wait, it doesn't matter what they are. The problem is that we are thinking wrongly. What matters is whether they can fly or not. Now it doesn't matter what the object is. The important thing is, what can they do?
Now, let's move on to the interface. Suppose we have a modern city. In this city, we have an eagle, an aircraft, and a helicopter. They are completely different things. Now, we are no longer talking about the identity. Now, we are talking about the capability. If you pay attention, one of them are birds, one of them are helicopter, one of them is airplane. They are not share the same identity, but they can all fly. Now, we are no longer talking about the identity. Now, we are talking about the capability. It's so important. Interface, we are using for situation that we want to share the same capability for some classes. Okay, here I want to create an interface. I come here and say I want to add a interface. Here I choose interface. There is some rule and naming convention. For interface, use I in uppercase and the name. For example, I want to create an interface is I flyable. I choose F also in uppercase and say I flyable. Okay, and create it. Now I come here and say here for creating method in interface, you should just use the return type. You don't need to create access modifier public. One of the difference between abstract class and interface is interface are completely is public and there is no need to define an access modifier. But in abstract class, you can define public, protected, and something like this. Here I say fly and just create. Now I have created a method in this contract. I mean, I flyable. I told you, interface are like a contract. Every classes that sign this contract promise to define and implement all of the method that we have created here. That's so important. I also want to say one of the powerful benefit of interface is you can use it or you can use multiple inheritance with interface. Here I want to create another interface and I want to call it iSwimmable and say iSwimmable. Now I create it and just say I want to say void swim. Now I want to create a classes and call it dog. Now if you pay attention, the dog can also fly and also can swim. If I want to manage this problem with abstract class, I run into limitation of abstract class. I told you, you can use only one abstract class you can inherit. Okay, if I here and say I want to inherit for I flyable and also I swimmable, there is no red line. Here say you have, the red line is say you have to implement, you promise, you sign the contract and you promise to implement it. And I say no, there's no problem. And I implement all of the method in interface and also for iSwimmable. Now here, if you pay attention, this class, the dog, can use the method, all of the method in this interface, iFlyable and also in iSwimmable. It's so important. Now, if I come here in program and create, for example, here I want to say I told you this, but I want to create it another time. Now you will get an underlying error. Say you cannot create an instance of abstract type oriented. Don't forget, abstract class interface are equal to no instance. Okay, now here I say, okay, no problem. I say to you duck. Now, if I come here, I can also say I duck. Okay, now if I come here and just use here, say duck. If I say that you can use fly and also dot stream. If I come here and say hey, say just I am flying and say I am swimming. Okay, now if I press F5 and run the program, you will see, okay, what happened. Oh, sorry, I forgot this related to the abstract class. That's the one of the point that I told you that now here there's two abstract class, and that's the limitation. We in C# and Java you should use only inherit from one class. Don't forget. Now if I run say I am flying, I am swimming. That's the power of interface. In the abstract class, I told you the abstract class should answer this question: what is it? Okay. But in interface, it should be like this. For example, how can manage it? For example, say a fly. For example, here I say a dog can fly, a dog can swim. There is a just special item can do for interface. If any item answer these questions can do, you can use it interface, but they should be the same capability. In abstract class we share the same identity, but in interface we are sharing the same capability. We are not talking about the identity, capability. Now it's time to talk about the difference between interface and abstract class. What's the difference, and when we should use interface, when we should use abstract class, and what's the limitation of these both item. Don't forget, some of the people ask me, hey, here you override this. What's the difference between polymorphism override with the abstract class? That's one of the most important questions. Here, if I come here, for example, I create a class like this. I want to create a class and say just polymorphism. Poly. I call it poly, and I just want to test it, because here in this channel I want to learn you everything. Public virtual void and say test, and here I come here and say CW and say I am default. Did you pay attention? One of the difference between abstract and polymorphism is in polymorphism that you are defining with virtual. When you want to override with the polymorphism, you use virtual and you have a default body. But in abstract class, you don't have a default body. Here, if I come here and add another class, I call it diff class, for example, and come here and I want to inherit from the test class. Okay, test that. What was the poly? Sorry, poly. If I come here, if you pay attention here, if it was the abstract class, it forced me to implement the method that I want to override. But here it's optional. It's so important. But here I can't, for example, say public override. Here I can override the test. But in abstract class, you should do it. It's not optional. You should override. It's so important. Don't for example, they are completely different. One of my questions asked me, hey, they are the same. No, they are not the same. They are two different things. It's so important. Now it's time to talk about the difference between interface and abstract class. Now let's talk about the difference between abstract class and interface. It's so important. Feature abstract class interface. What's the goal of abstract class and interface? Abstract class, they are talking about the common identity. If you don't forget, they all were employee. All of them were employee. Tester, manager, and also the developer. They are all employee. But interface, they all have the same capability. They all can fly. But the identity are completely different. One of them were a bird, one of them was helicopter, and one of them was airplane. They are talking about the common ability. That's so important. Let's talk about the inheritance. When you are using abstract class, you just can inherit from one abstract class or any classes. But for multi-inheritance, you should use interface. It's so important. Ready code. Yes, in interface, in abstract class, we have the ready code, but in interface, no, almost. State and property. In abstract class, we have, but in interface, you don't have. Constructor. In interface, you cannot create a constructor and you don't have constructor, but in abstract class, you have a constructor. Relationship. In abstract class, I told you, they can answer this question, is a, for example, a manager is an employee, a boss is an employee, a tester is an employee. A bird can fly for interface. Airplane can fly. They are talking about the capability, but abstract class, the answer is about the identity. For example, helicopter can fly. Coupling. I forgot to told you that the interface help to reduce the coupling between components. For this reason, many architected and many dependency injection framework and testing, they are using interface because it reduces the coupling between the all components. But with abstract class, it's like a tight coupling. It's so hard. If this video was help you to learn something from abstract class interface, and if it helps you to understand more, don't forget to like this video and subscribe the channel. In the next video, we are talking about the handling the error in the C#. Goodbye.